My father-in-law took my car to keep me obedient. Not borrowed it. Not moved it. Took it. He stood in my hallway with my husband beside him and said a wife who kept acting independent needed to learn the meaning of respect. 25 minutes later, I was walking beside a busy road under the crushing August sun, holding my crying 1-year-old daughter against my chest, with a diaper bag digging into my shoulder and dust sticking to my sweaty face. Then my mother's SUV screeched onto the shoulder. She lowered the window and stared at me like she could not believe what she was seeing. "Where is your car, Emily?" I tried to answer calmly, but my voice cracked. "Victor took it. He said he was keeping me controlled." My mother's face went still. Not shocked still. Dangerous still. She unlocked the passenger door and said, "Get in, this ends tonight." And before midnight, the family that had spent years treating me like property would learn that the quiet daughter-in-law they cornered had a mother who knew exactly how to burn a cage down. Before I continue, tell me where you are watching from in the comments, and if you have ever seen a toxic family use money, children, or fear to control someone, like this video and subscribe. When you finish this story, watch the next one on this channel, because it shows what happens when a husband chooses his mother over his wife and loses everything. My name is Emily Carter. I am 32 years old. I had been married to Nathan Reeves for 6 years, and for most of that time I defended him. I said he hated conflict. I said his father was difficult. I said his mother was old-fashioned. I said every excuse weak women say when they are too tired, too ashamed, or too scared to admit the truth. Nathan was not confused. He was not trapped. He was choosing comfort over courage every single day. His father, Victor Reeves, was 64, wealthy, respected, and rotten with pride. He owned a commercial flooring company, played golf with judges, donated to local charities, and spoke to waitresses like they were furniture. In public, people called him generous. In private, he treated his family like employees who forgot they could quit. My mother-in-law, Marlene, was worse in a quieter way. Victor barked orders. Marlene smiled while sliding knives between ribs. "Victor just believes families need structure," she would say. Nathan was raised to respect his father. A good wife does not embarrass her husband by challenging him. At first, I thought they disliked me because I was not from money. My mother, Ruth, raised me alone after my father died when I was 8. She worked as a courthouse clerk for 29 years. We had love, books, casseroles, and coupons. The Reeves family had imported stone countertops and a fake smile for every room. But money was not the real problem. The real problem was that I had my own job. I worked remotely as a medical billing consultant. I earned good money. I paid half the mortgage. I paid for my own car. I made decisions about my daughter, Lily. I asked questions when Victor spoke like his opinions were laws. To a man like Victor, a woman with income and a voice is not a daughter-in-law. She is a threat. The car became a symbol long before he took it. I bought that silver Honda after Lily was born. It was not fancy, but it was mine. It meant I could take my baby to the doctor, visit my mother, buy groceries, leave the house, breathe. Victor hated that. He would make comments at dinner. "Women today think a steering wheel makes them free." Marlene would laugh softly. Nathan would stare at his plate. I used to wait for him to say, "Dad, stop." He never did. That is the thing about cowards. They rarely stab you themselves. They just keep opening the door for the person holding the knife. The day everything collapsed started like any other ugly summer day. Lily had a pediatric checkup at 2 o'clock. I was at the kitchen table finishing invoices while she napped upstairs. The air conditioner hummed. A glass of iced tea sweated beside my laptop. I remember feeling almost peaceful. Then the front door opened. No knock. No call. Just Victor walking into my house like he owned my walls. Nathan followed him, pale and silent. My stomach tightened. Victor held out his hand. "Keys." I looked at him. "Excuse me?" "Your car keys, Emily." I laughed once because the demand was so insane that my brain refused to accept it. "My car keys are not your business." Victor stepped closer. He was tall, broad, and used his body like a warning sign. "They are today." Nathan and I discussed it. "Your attitude has become disruptive. You come and go without checking in. You take Lily wherever you want. You speak to Marlene disrespectfully. That ends now." I turned to my husband. "Nathan, say something." He rubbed his mouth. "Maybe we just need a reset." "Reset." That spineless little word. Victor nodded, encouraged. Until you remember that marriage has order, you do not need transportation. Upstairs, Lily started crying. Her small voice came through the baby monitor on the counter. I moved toward the stairs. Victor shifted half a step, not blocking me completely, just enough to remind me he could. My blood went cold. Move. He smiled. Keys first. Nathan whispered, please do not make this worse. I stared at the man I had married. 6 years of meals, bills, pregnancy appointments, late nights with a feverish baby, and he could not even stand between me and his father. So I grabbed the keys from the hook and threw them onto the table. Victor picked them up. Good, he said. Maybe now you will remember who keeps this family under control. Then he walked out and drove away in my car. Nathan left 2 minutes later in his truck. No apology. No explanation. Just silence. I stood in the hallway, with Lily crying upstairs, and felt something inside me crack. I called Nathan 8 times. No answer. I texted, bring my car back now. He replied, Dad is upset. Please calm down before you make this permanent. Permanent. I stared at that word until it blurred. Then I packed Lily's diaper bag. The clinic was less than 2 miles away. Too far in that heat with a baby, but close enough for a desperate mother to lie to herself. I put Lily in a sun hat, grabbed water, locked the house, and started walking. The heat was vicious. The sidewalk ended after 3 blocks, so I walked along the shoulder. Cars rushed past, throwing hot wind at us. Lily cried against my chest. My sandals rubbed blisters into my heels. Every step felt like humiliation. Perfect lawns rolled by on my left. Sprinklers ticked over green grass while I sweated through my shirt. People drove past, glanced, and kept going. I kept thinking, this is my life now. A grown woman. A mother. Walking in the heat because an old man decided obedience mattered more than my child's safety. Then I heard tires grind over gravel. My mother's dark blue SUV stopped ahead of me. Ruth Carter jumped out before the engine was fully quiet. She was 59, small, neat, and usually gentle. She wore cardigans in grocery stores and sent thank you cards for everything. But my mother had spent nearly 3 decades inside a courthouse, watching powerful men learn that paperwork can become a weapon. What happened? She asked, taking Lily's hot little hand. I tried to say I was fine. She cut me off. Do not lie to me. So I told her. The front door. Victor. Nathan. The keys. The text. The word, permanent. My mother did not interrupt. She took Lily from my arms, kissed her forehead, and buckled her into the car seat she kept in her SUV. Then she looked at me. Get in, this ends tonight. We went to the pediatric appointment first, because my mother was not a monster pretending to care about family while endangering a baby. Lily was overheated, but okay. I cried in the exam room bathroom for 2 minutes, then washed my face and came out. During the drive to her house, my mother asked questions. Whose name was on the title? Mine. Who paid insurance? Me. Who had a spare key to my house? Victor and Marlene. Did Nathan have access to my personal account? No. Joint account? Yes. Had anyone threatened custody? Marlene had once said unstable mothers sometimes lost more than they expected. My mother's jaw tightened. Say that again. I did. She pulled into her driveway and handed me a notebook. Write everything. Dates, words, witnesses, no feelings, facts. This is why story content works on M. The audience does not only want pain, they want the moment pain becomes a plan. I logged into our joint bank account from her kitchen table. That was when my hands went numb. Our emergency savings were gone. $17,800. Transferred that morning to Reeves Commercial Holdings. Victor's company. I stared at the screen, unable to breathe. He took the money, I whispered. My mother leaned over my shoulder. No. Your husband moved marital funds into his father's business after they took your car. Screenshot it. I did. Then Nathan called. My mother nodded for me to answer on speaker. Where are you? He snapped. With my mom. He exhaled, like I had inconvenienced him. You need to come home and apologize. Dad says he is willing to discuss giving the car back if you stop escalating. Where is our savings, Nathan? Silence. That ugly silence that answers before words can lie. Dad is holding it until things stabilize. My mother pressed mute. Do not argue. Ask one clean question. She unmuted. I said, did you authorize the transfer? Nathan hesitated. I did what was necessary. My mother smiled without warmth. Perfect. I said, return my car and every dollar by 6 o'clock. He laughed. Or what? My mother leaned toward the phone. Or my attorney speaks to yours. The line went dead. If you are watching this and thinking Emily should have left earlier, good. You are right. But understand this. Control does not usually arrive wearing chains. It arrives as advice, then concern, then pressure, then punishment. By the time you recognize the cage, you may already be explaining why the bars are normal. That is why I am telling this story. And if this part hits you, after this video, watch the story linked on screen about the wife whose husband emptied her college fund for his mother. Same disease, different costume. At 4:30, Marlene called. Her voice was honey poured over poison. Emily, sweetheart, everyone is worried. No, Marlene. Everyone is exposed. She paused. Your tone is exactly the problem. Victor was trying to protect this family. You running to your mother makes you look unstable. There it was again. Unstable. The word they planned to use when obedience failed. Marlene continued. Dragging Lily around in this heat was very poor judgment. If this continues, Victor may need to speak with someone about whether you are making safe decisions. My mother stood up so quickly, her chair scraped the floor. I put the call on speaker. Ruth's voice was calm. Marlene, this is Ruth Carter. Say one more sentence suggesting you will take my granddaughter from her mother, and your next explanation will be under oath. Marlene inhaled sharply. Ruth continued. You people picked the wrong woman on the wrong day. Then she hung up. At 5:15, my mother called her old friend Denise Mallory, a family attorney with silver hair, sharp glasses, and the expression of a woman who considered bullies recreational exercise. Denise arrived with a leather folder and no patience. We gave her everything. The title, insurance payments, bank screenshots, Nathan's text, Marlene's threat, old messages where Victor called me rebellious and said Nathan needed to bring his household into order. Denise read quietly. Then she looked at me. This is coercive control. It is also financial abuse. The vehicle situation may be unlawful deprivation of property. The transfer is a serious problem for them, especially because it went to Victor's company. For the first time all day, I felt air enter my lungs. Victor had always used money like armor. Denise explained that armor leaves fingerprints. By 6 o'clock, she had drafted a letter demanding immediate return of the vehicle, immediate return of all transferred funds, surrender of all house keys, preservation of communication, and no direct contact regarding custody except through counsel. She sent it to Nathan, Victor, and Marlene. At 6:10, Nathan called 12 times. I did not answer. At 6:22, Victor called my mother. She answered on speaker. His voice was different. Not humble. Never humble. But careful. Ruth, this has gone too far. My mother looked at me, then at Denise. No, Victor. Leaving my daughter and granddaughter without transportation in August, heat went too far. This is the receipt. He scoffed. You do not understand my family. Denise spoke. Mr. Reeves, this is Denise Mallory. I represent Emily. You should stop talking until you have counsel. Silence. Then Victor said, this is a private matter. Denise replied. Not after marital funds were transferred into your business account following an act of coercion. Victor hung up. My mother leaned back. That scared him. She was right. 20 minutes later, Nathan texted. Dad says he will bring the car if you promise not to file anything. I typed back, car, money, keys, tonight. He replied, you are destroying my family. I wrote, no, I am documenting what your family did. At 7:40, Nathan arrived in my Honda. He stepped out looking offended, as if returning stolen property made him the victim. I stood on my mother's porch. Ruth was beside me. Denise stood inside near the window. Nathan held up the keys. You really had to humiliate me? I walked down one step. You left your wife and baby without a car in dangerous heat. I did not think you would actually walk. That sentence almost broke me. Not because it was cruel, because it was honest. They had expected me to stay trapped in the house. They had expected obedience. I held out my hand. Keys. He dropped them into my palm. My mother held out hers. House key. Nathan frowned. Ruth, come on. Her face hardened. Do not use my first name like we are friends. He handed over his key. "And your parents' copies," she said. "They are not here." Denise opened the door. "Then the emergency motion will mention continued unauthorized access." Nathan cursed under his breath and called Victor. At 8:20, Victor himself pulled up in a black Mercedes. He did not get out. Marlene sat beside him, staring straight ahead. Nathan walked to the car, took 2 keys from his father, and brought them to my mother. Victor lowered his window. "This is not over." I expected my mother to answer. But something rose in me before she could. "Yes, it is," I said. "You do not get to enter my home. You do not get to touch my money. You do not get to threaten my child. You lost that privilege." Victor looked at Nathan. "Control your wife." There it was. The whole truth, spoken in the open. Nathan looked at me. For one stupid second, I hoped he would finally choose me. He said, "Emily, please do not make him angrier." And that was the exact moment my marriage died. Not legally, not officially, but inside me. The last thread snapped. I laughed once, not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. "You are still more afraid of his anger than my pain." Nathan's face folded. I turned and walked back inside. The money returned at 9:14 that night. Every dollar. Victor probably thought paying it back would erase what he had done. It did not. Screenshots do not forget. Texts do not forget. Attorneys do not forget. And mothers like Ruth Carter definitely do not forget. Over the next month, Denise helped me file for separation, temporary custody, exclusive use of the house, and financial protections. Victor's company received questions he could not bully away. Apparently, moving family money into a business account during a domestic dispute looks ugly when written in black and white. Marlene tried to control the story at church. She told people I had a breakdown. She said my mother manipulated me. She said Nathan was heartbroken. Then someone asked why a heartbroken husband let his father take his wife's car while his baby had a doctor appointment. Marlene stopped talking so much after that. Nathan moved into his parents' guest room. He sent long messages about love, vows, forgiveness, and stress. Not one message began with, "I failed you." Not one said, "My father was wrong and I should have protected you." So I stopped reading them. 4 months later, during mediation, Nathan cried. He said he loved me. He said he did not know how to stand up to Victor. I said, "You knew. You just chose not to." The custody arrangement gave me primary physical custody. Victor and Marlene were not allowed unsupervised access to Lily. Communication had to go through a parenting app. Money stayed separate. My car stayed mine. The first morning after the temporary order, I drove Lily to the park. Nothing dramatic happened. No music swelled. No crowd clapped. My daughter laughed at ducks and dropped cracker crumbs on her shirt. And I cried in the driver's seat because freedom can look very ordinary when you finally get it back. Today, my Honda is still in my driveway. My house has new locks. My bank account has one name. Lily is 3 now, loud, wild, and fearless in the way little girls should be before the world teaches them to shrink. My mother still has the notebook. Sometimes she jokes that it is our family heirloom. But I know what it really is. Proof. Proof that the day Victor took my car to keep me controlled, he accidentally gave me the evidence I needed to leave. If you are listening to this while someone in your life controls your money, your transportation, your child, your phone, or your fear, listen carefully. That is not protection. That is not family. That is not love. That is control. And control only works while you are isolated. Call someone. Write things down. Save messages. Tell the truth to one person who will not hand it back to your abuser. Because sometimes freedom does not begin with a grand speech. Sometimes it begins with a woman on the side of the road, a crying baby in her arms, and a mother pulling over to say, "Get in." That is why silence is never peace. Sometimes silence is just the sound of someone stealing your life slowly. If this story made you angry, comment, "She took her life back," below. If you believe no husband should ever let his family cage his wife, like this video, subscribe, and watch the next Betrayed Stories episode on your screen now. In that story, a mother-in-law changed the locks while her daughter-in-law was giving birth, and what happened in court destroyed the family's perfect image. Do not miss it, because the people who think they own you are always the most shocked when you finally leave.